Hi, my name is Kacey Hendrickson, and I'm here to present my action research about English language learners' academic performance. I'm a fourth grade teacher at Putnam Elementary. This is my 6th year of teaching, and I really love working with the population at Putnam. At Putnam Elementary, we are a Title I elementary school, and something I noticed was that the population of English language learners performed lower on standardized testing than the other populations. And Putnam does have a pretty diverse population of students. 30% of our students are classified as homeless, 45% of the students are English language learners, and 95% of students receive free and reduced lunch. And so the purpose of my action research is to identify the current practices that teachers are using and gain an understanding of the impact it may have on the performance of ELLs, and then look at areas of growth for teachers to use instructional strategies to improve the performance of the English language learners. So the problem is that ELLs are not reaching proficiency on standardized testing. And while the test data does indicate their performance, it's important to note that teachers could change their instruction to improve performance outside of a testing environment. So teachers need to be aware of their current practices they're using and other research-based strategies they should be using to improve instruction of English language learners. So in order to do my research, I identified 3 questions that I wanted to look into. What barriers cause ELLs to score lower on standardized testing? What practices can I use to make the learning environment safe for ELLs? And what practices and strategies are teachers currently using to scaffold instruction or shelter language? So before I began this process, I did a literature review to examine current research and knowledge about English language learners. So one of the concepts that I found was that that concept of dependent versus independent learners. And basically, a dependent learner struggles to advocate for themselves, is more of a passive learner, waits for the teacher to deliver the information to them, and does not seek help, where an independent learner knows what resources to use, seeks out help, and advocates for themselves in the classroom. And often ELLs can become dependent learners because of the language barrier that they face, also because teachers allow them to be dependent learners rather than teaching them the skills and the metacognitive skills to become more independent learners. So teachers in the classroom need to be teaching the skills to become independent learners, for especially English language learners. The next concept that I researched about was individualism versus collectivism as cultures that we have in different countries, and also the cultures that we promote in our classroom. So individualism promotes every man for himself. Students should just be responsible for their own learning. They work independently and they work to achieve their own success. The opposite is collectivism, where students work for the harmony of the group. Their collective knowledge is more powerful than the knowledge of one individual, and they're often able to communicate more, cooperate more, and work together more rather than being measured independently by the classroom teacher. And so teachers need to keep this in mind because traditionally the United States has had more of an individualistic culture, but a lot of the countries that our ELLs are coming from have more of a collectivist culture. So that can cause some dissonance from where they're coming from. And so teachers need to remember that ELLs need a lot of opportunities to collaborate and work with peers, which can also serve as a scaffold for their language. The next concept was a bias toward white majority. Often teachers in our schools are white females, and they're coming from different cultures than our English language learners are coming from. And this can result in implicit bias, which is defined as the unconscious attitudes and stereotypes that shape our responses to certain groups. Implicit bias operates involuntarily, often without one's awareness or intentional control. And so all teachers have these implicit biases. And so it's really important to examine your biases, reflect on them, and then challenge them how you need to so that you can be appropriate